Hey, good morning, everybody. Today is another episode of Grant Teach Me Something.
My dance was entirely too crunk for that classy. I'm over here like breaking it down.
You know, it's
and you're giving me
crazy.
an
We just
operatic.
started this whole thing on just a crazy whim. Like,
Yeah.
hey, let's just do a daily thing or a weekly thing, and we'll call it Grant Teach Me Something. And here we are, 14 episodes in. That being said, if you've never seen any of our episodes and you're like, what the hell is this? I actually dropped a link into our first video. If you want to check it out, there's actually a playlist. You can go 1 through 14, and I guarantee you there's a lot of nuggets there to implement into your business. That said, before we get into today's topic of work-life balance and not getting burnt out, is subtle plug.
We need the button.
I know.
It needs to go.
Hey, check out Propelio.com. If you need access to true MLS comps, if you need access to off-market leads, if you need a website for your investment business, we are actually in beta testing right now. So if you want to learn more about that, shoot me a DM and we'll get you set up.
It goes down there.
What's that?
It goes down there.
It goes down in the DMs. Anyways, but Propelio.com, we're the ones that get all this information out for you for free, so check it out. That being said, let me introduce you to your host, Grant Kemp from Creative Cashflow.
You're the host. I'm the guest, right? Is that? I don't know. One of those things.
That's
works.
as much enthusiasm as
that's all you got for the day?
That's all I got.
That's cool. Yeah, I will second that, though. I mean, Propelio's awesome. Oh, gosh. Sorry, guys. Well, now you know what happens when a personal mentor texts me. Let me
I thought that was an Amber Alert. You're going to make jokes about
No,
that.
I made
That's not
the
cool.
most annoying thing possible. Because, subtle plug, my personal mentors get a 2-hour time guarantee response time from me. Anyway, so today what we're going to talk about is what we're going to talk about is the fact that, man, let's just be real about it. A lot of people get into real estate and get out of real estate. We've got a huge turnover in this industry, and we really do. And there's so many people. You go to any investor club meeting, and if you've been going to investor club meetings for more than a couple of months, pay attention to the fact that you may only see 3 to 5% of the same faces there.
Absolutely.
Over the next couple of months, right? And it's not just because people decided to go off and not make that meeting. It's because people are dropping out of real estate investing. Mm-hmm. What happens is people are getting in, they want to make a bunch of money, and they what they do is they get energized and excited, and they go and y'all watch all these videos. But then what happens is they figure out that it's work, and they're like, whoa, wait a minute, hold up. Are you telling me that I have to actually work to buy houses?
Yeah, and I think it was yesterday. It might have been yesterday, or the day before. I was talking to Daniel about this. It might have been on the show. I don't know, but it was basically how the mentality. I would say the social consciousness about what a real estate investor is like your Donald Trumps, your gajillionaire people who go in and they just sweep up and buy a lot of land. And yes, there's work to that, but they had a lot of money to do that. So if you've got a shit ton of money, by all means, go up and buy a lot of land, develop it, be a land developer, and have your 1,000 employees take care of everything. But if you're just getting in, or if you're just the daily grind real estate investor, it's work. It's 80, 100 hours a week. It's none of this. Your family texts you because you don't have a real job, and you can come over and fix the barbecue pit, or you can do whatever, or watch the dog.
Right.
It's like, I'm working.
And you get there eventually, right? Like,
well, eventually,
that's what you're talking about with the whole Donald Trump thing. Like, eventually, yes. And so here's what I think happens is I think a lot of people see too many of the Grants of the world get up and are like, yeah, I've been in the office forever and I drive a Lexus and blah, 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 blah. And like just talk about how little they have to do and how much money they're making. And that's how they get to convince you to pay for their program, right? They're like, look, I saw one of these, I won't name names because I don't want to get sued, but I saw a commercial on Facebook of this guy like washing his Lamborghinis in front of his big fancy mansion, and he's like, look at what I got. And I guarantee he rented like 5 of those and probably is leasing the. But what they do is they act like if you say real estate investor and you put a real estate investor tag on your on your business card, that all of a sudden you're gonna have a bunch of big boobs around you hanging out, and Lamborghinis and a mansion, and that's just not how it works. This is hard work.
Was it Lie Topez?
It may have rhymed with that. Yeah. So
But anyway, but I think what you're talking about, what we're talking about, is the expectations.
Expectation. So what you need to expect is that you need to expect that when you're getting into this business, you are going to spend a period of time working your butt off. If you want to be in the position of the Grants and the Daniels and the Lai Topez's and the, all these people that you look
I love that.
that you look at where you see, yeah, we're making a ton of money. Yeah, we have a lot of houses in our portfolio. But you want to know what the common factor is? The common thread between all of that is we lost a lot of time with our families to get to that point. And let's just be real about it. When I started this business, I was working 16-ish hours a day, average 7 days a week for about 18 months.
Right.
And I mean that. I was showing I was showing Christmas houses, showing houses on Christmas morning, literally for a couple of years in a row, to get this moving. Now that's tough, and you don't get to successfully do that and successfully manage life and successfully avoid burnout if you don't have a support system around you and you don't properly communicate with those that you love when you're getting into this business.
Right. And we're talking about the balance of things. It's more than just your mentality. It's more than just your family. It's you've got a balance to where you're doing enough to where you're growing, but not too much that you're going to go out of business. But if you do too little, well, you're going to fizzle out too, because it's not worth it. Because if you're only making $20,000 a year trying to work your tail off wholesaling, but yet you can go make 80 grand in a job, well, you're going to go to your job.
And that's one of the things too to address here is that too many people feel like I'm going to become an investor, therefore I don't have a job. And you do have a job. You very much have a job. You have to work as though this is a job. And if you're working a 9 to 5, as I know a lot of you guys are, you have 2 jobs. You don't have a job and a hobby or an investment strategy. You've got 2 jobs if you want to get to this position. Now, the flip side of that is if you just want to buy a couple of houses a year, right? Okay, you can treat that like a hobby. But what you need to have getting into it is understanding it is going to be work, it is going to be job, you are going to work long hours, and especially in a market like we're seeing here in Dallas right now, it's tough. It's tough, and anybody who's telling you it's not tough is lying to you. It's hard to get those deals. It's hard. You can do it, but you've got to actively go out there and get it. So what I want to talk about is realistic expectations. You should anticipate when you're getting into this business, it's probably going to be 6 months to a year before you really start buying any houses.
Right.
Just realistically, that's how it's going to be.
And on that, you could get a deal or two here and there.
Uh-huh.
Like, I think if you're able to get a deal within your first 3 months, badass. That's
awesome.
A rock star moment. But the thing is, though, once you get that deal, you're thinking, oh, cool, I made it. But the reality is, now you got to get the next deal.
Right.
And then it's the next deal. And again, going back to expectations, the pipeline is, if you're in the wholesale world, you literally live and die by your next deal. So, hey, I got a deal. Well, cool, but what's next?
Right.
Always, and that's why we stress so much about the cash flow is when you're wholesaling, you are a job, but when you do get a cash flow option or a cash flow property, that property is your job, and you're just, you're the bank.
Right.
Much.
Yeah, totally. And cash flow is big on that. And that's why I push so hard for it to get you guys started. And it is that until you have enough cash flow coming in, pure cash flow to replace your whatever income you're currently getting, you've got to work your butt off, right? And that cash flow will be what you build on. But like you said, you're building that portfolio, you're building your pipeline. When you get a deal, don't get super excited about the deal and not work anymore. You've got to make sure that you're continuing to get those next deals and getting on with that side. But what I want to talk about here is again, getting back to talking with your loved ones, talking with the people that you surround yourself with when you decide to go into this industry. You need to be very clear with the people that are around you of what is going to be expected of you and how this is going to work for you to get to the goals that you want.
Yeah, and on that, because I think it was Helen's son, she was asked about what do you do when you're in the business or want to get in the business, but your spouse, your partner does not want to get in the business. And you have to be upfront and you have to be honest. I know, like you just mentioned, for the first 5 years of your business career, you basically told Shannon, "Hey, this is it."
Yeah.
I know on my first date with my girlfriend, it was like, by the way, I hate to say it, but you're number 2. work is number one. And I know makes me look like a horrible, shitty person. But that's kind of what it takes. If your partner, your spouse, your loved one is not on the same page, guess what's going to happen? If you're over here trying to do the real estate thing and try to make it and put in those 120 hours a week, a day, or whatever, and your loved one is over here, and I hate to use the word nagging, but it kind of comes off that way at times. Not me personally. I've never been in that situation. But I'm just saying, if you have a loved one that's just like ringing your phone 400 times a day, where are you? It's like, I'm working. I'm trying to build a future.
And that's exactly where I want to lead into what we're talking about of what do you want, okay? What do you actually want, and what are your priorities, and stick to those as being true to yourself, okay? Because here's the thing, is that to me, I've gone through some tough times in my career of having the wrong priorities on things. Mm-hmm. And it takes a toll. And what I've ultimately had to discover about myself and really stick to and really understand is that God is number one, family is number two, and everything else will find its place past that, okay? That is what I have to have in order for this to work for me. And I'll tell you what, if real estate did not work with that order, then real estate's not for me. And I want you to be very clear with that about yourself as well, because if you're going to say real estate is number one and that's the end all be all, then you have to be prepared to lose all of the relationships around you in order to get the money that you're looking for. That's what, and that includes family, that includes friends, that includes girlfriends, whatever that is. Mm. And are you that person? And I don't want you to be that person. That's not exactly, I think that real estate, the reason we're getting into real estate most of the time is to afford the ability to have more time, right? Most of us, that's what we're looking for. But some of us are so financially motivated that is the end all be all. But you need to know who you are, and you need to stick to that going forward. And decisions have to be made around that, and hard decisions have to be made around that. So what I want to see from you is I want to see you being real about what the expectations are, real about understanding. It may be a year. It may be a year and a half before this takes hold for you. It might be, especially in these kinds of tough markets that we have. And you're hearing some of my life-work balance in the background as my wife and my baby have come with me. He's making some noise over here she's playing with. But to that point, I'll make that. So on Monday nights I do a weekly Q&A session for all of my students. So that subtle plug. So that means that I leave for work at like 8:30 in the morning, and I don't stop working until 10 p.m. on Monday nights. Tomorrow night, subtle plug, I'll be teaching at the NTAREI, Roger Hodgkin's group. I'm going to be teaching actually a topic that a lot of you may be interested in how to retire in 10 years or less. Like, how do you get that life balance? How do you create your work? How do you put that cash flow together so that you can retire? But again, what that means is that I'm going to leave for work. I've got a Bible study in the morning. I leave at 4:30 in the morning for that, and I'm not going to come back home until 10:30 tomorrow night. Okay? So that means that 2 of my days are completely taken away from my wife and my kid, and that's not acceptable to run for my life, for my work balance. I can't do that every day.
Right.
So part of what we're blessed with is that Shannon's able to work from home, and so she's hanging out with me today. She drove out here to Arlington. It's an hour drive we got to spend together. We're going to spend our hour drive afterwards together, and we're going to be able to spend some time together. And I already told my staff I'm going to be taking a half day one of these days this week because I'm working too many hours, right? I'm trying to limit at this stage in my career, I'm trying to limit to that 50-hour week, that 40-hour week. I'm trying to pull it back. But when we started in this business, Shannon and I had a very in-depth discussion about understanding what our goals were, what we were going to be looking for, and she was on board with the fact that, hey, I'm going to have to work my butt off. And I'm going to have to work my butt off until it grabs, right? Until it takes hold, until what I'm doing actually gains traction.
Oh, I thought you were saying until your butt grabs. I was like, how does that happen?
So we were on the same page when we got into this deal. That look, I am going to work 16 hours a day. That's going to be how it works. I'm going to work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. We didn't have a kid. She understood it, and I could not be where I am today if she did not understand that. And again, it took about 18 to 20 months before I was able to kind of pull back some, before I was able to gain enough cash flow to hire people, to elevate and delegate, as they say, right? To put some responsibilities on some other people, build the staffing, build the machine, build the portfolio, so that now, I have gone to, like, we've taken a month to go to Japan and just hang out, and we're still making money because of cash flow. We've taken, we take vacations once or twice a month, going out of town to go do stuff now. But don't look at me now and think, hey, I'm going to become a real estate investor, and in 8 months, I'm going to be able to take vacations every month.
And I think all that comes down to, your personal priorities, good work ethic, but then also just communication. Because, yes, now you have, you're able to take those days off, and you're able to do your thing, take the month off. But in the beginning, you worked your tail off.
Right.
But you still had that conversation with Shannon to say, look, I got to be all in. Yes, God is number one, you're number two, work is number three, but that doesn't mean work doesn't get 99.9% of your hours.
Sure, because that can still be, because here's the thing, is that with proper communication, we were able to have that balance that said, look, work is going to get 99% of my attention for this upcoming period. Had at any point in time during that period, Shannon said, this is not working for me.
Right.
I need you back. Work is done. And I'm not investing anymore. Right? You've got to understand what your priorities are.
Bold move, Cotton.
And if your priorities, she's just here. I'm trying to get some good cuddles tonight. So if your priority is not that, if your priority is work is it, and you're either going to fit in or you're going to not, again, whatever comes secondary, you have to be very conscious of the fact that if your primary one does not agree with your secondary one goes.
Right.
Okay? So if your primary one, and be honest with yourself, is real estate, and your secondary one does not agree, and that's relationship, family, whatever that might be, the second one is going to go. And you have to be aware of that, because if you are not aware of that, that's where the burnout occurs.
And I totally agree, because that goes back to what we were saying before, where if I'm in real estate and my plus one is not supportive of that decision, well, there's going to be tension, the burnout, you're going to flame out, and either you're going to lose the real estate or you're going to lose the relationship, and those two don't mesh.
Exactly.
That's why that open communication, that's why you have to get, and again, your partner doesn't necessarily have to be out there putting out bandit signs with you.
Mine isn't. Mine doesn't do real estate at all.
But they need to at least understand what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Right. And and on that note too, like, when I quit my job and started this, I was like, yeah, me and my wife, we're going to do this together. Because you see all these husband and wife teams and stuff. And it took me like...
Shannon's like, no.
Yeah, it took me a few months before I was talking to her about something. I'm like, yeah, the ARV of this and blah, 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 blah. And she's just like blank faced. And I'm like, oh, you don't care about this at all. It's like, nope, I do not care about it.
She just wants you to look pretty when you come home.
Yeah, she just wants me to look pretty, put money in the bank account, we'll be good. So, but again, it's that proper communication. It's understanding what those priorities are. And when I say proper communication on that front, it's proper communication with yourself too. Because when I'm referencing the burnout occurring from not knowing these priorities, it's because what happens is if you have not properly communicated with yourself and you've not properly set your goals from the beginning and say, this is what matters to me and this is how I'm going to run my decisions, what's going to happen is you're going to spend 6 months in this turmoil position where you're not sure why everything sucks.
Yeah, and there will be a conversation you have either with yourself or with some trusted people in the industry where you'll be having a beer or whatever, and you're going to be like, man, I hate single family houses.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it just happens.
Honestly,
like, I'm not going to say I've ever had that conversation.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm not going to say you've ever had that conversation.
Look,
other people I know.
I'm going to be real about it. I've not ever met anybody that's been doing real estate more than 5 or 6 years that still is like, yeah, single family. Woo,
it's
we
just
love
like,
it.
yeah.
Like, it becomes a job. There was a quote that I've heard, and I can't remember what it's about, but it's like, you're not a true professional at something until you no longer have any joy doing that thing, right? And it can become that way. Now, I still get really pumped every time I get a signed contract.
Absolutely.
I get that high, like, this is awesome. And, and I get really pumped.
I still know what I'm doing.
Right, exactly. And I get really jazzed. And again, by having, and this is somewhat off track, but by having set up the cash flow like we referred to, by having spent all this time, it allows me to pivot into, like right now, again, subtle plug, I'm really passionate about training. I enjoy that side of things. Now, the real estate, that portfolio that I've built, allows me to pivot and pay attention to that and do things like this. I mean, shoot, I'm spending hours. Every Wednesday is up here at the studio so I can give you guys free information, hang out at the studio, get things going on, Tuesdays I spend creating all of the PowerPoints and stuff for presentations that I might have to do. So like that takes time away. That's still time and effort that has to go. But I enjoy doing that. It allows me the portfolio, the priorities, all that kind of stuff, or what allow me to do that.
So let's go to burnout, because I know we keep on saying what we're going to talk about. It's like we're like 20 minutes in. What we're going to talk about? Well, we've been talking about it. Is like, okay, so how do you avoid the burnout?
Yeah. So
like I know with me, it's a lot of Jack and Coke and a lot of gambling, a lot of
you wish you
drugs.
was joking. No. Okay, maybe there's a joke there.
No, just
yeah.
kidding.
So the burnout occurs from a miscommunication with yourself. Okay, a miscommunication with yourself of what your proper expectations are. If you believe that you're going to go out and work part-time and have enough money to quit your job in 3 months, and you get to 4 or 5 months and you haven't bought a house yet, you're going to burn out. Okay, that's why I keep stressing, anticipate a year to a year and a half. You should be able to do it earlier than that. Okay, but what most of you heard who have not bought a house just now, what most of you heard is, okay, he just said a year to a year and a half, but it could happen earlier. I'm going to get it done earlier. I'm going to get it done in 4 months. And what's going to happen, 6 months is going to roll around, you're not going to have traction, and you're going to burn out. It's going to take you a year to a year and a half. Yes, it can happen earlier. It's going to take you a year to a year and a half to gain traction, okay? 95% of the people out there, it takes a year and a half. If you go into it understanding I'm going to work my butt off for the next year and a half, and then I will start to get it, you're going to be okay.
Because, again, I think what Grant is saying, though, is year to year and a half to get traction. You may get a deal within 2 weeks. One deal does not make a business.
Right.
You know, one deal is one deal. If that deal is 300 grand, well, then yeah, you can afford a year and a half to get traction.
Right.
But one deal is not going to give you the traction to have that
Repeatability.
sustainability of marketing and hire employees to help with the paperwork tasks.
Right.
But that's what I'm hearing.
Right, exactly. So you may get your deals beforehand. Just anticipate that your traction. I'm going to be buying multiple deals. I'm getting multiple deals a month. I'm going to start having to need staff. I'm going to start needing to expand. That's not going to happen for a year to year and a half. And your first deal may take you 8 months to get there. Just looking at the average of what people are getting into, their first deal is typically in that 6 to 8 month range. Now, 2012, 2013, 2014, first deals were happening in 6 weeks. Okay, it's different now. The market is tough. Be aware that what you're getting into is going to take some time, but you can absolutely, I mean, I'm not supposed to call out people behind the camera, but Travion, how long was it that you started studying till you got your first deal?
7 months.
Oh, okay, 6 months. Okay, 6 or 7 months. I thought it was actually quicker. So there's a perfect example. 5 months. There, so he beat my. So 5 months for Travion to get his first deal.
Going from, and I'm not
Absolute zero.
Yeah, I don't mean to say he's a zero, but going from zero.
Yeah.
He's an amazing human being. I'm just saying, in the real estate world.
Right. So burnout is going to happen if you've got improper expectations. Burnout is going to happen if you have not properly coordinated with the loved ones around you so that you understand your own priorities and that they also understand your priorities and they're on board with it. Because if you have the priority of real estate first, relationship second, and your wife doesn't share that priority, there's going to be tension there, and you're going to spend a few months and a lot of tension, and things are going to be rough for you. I'll be very honest, and I'll peel back the veil. Last year, the beginning of the year, I spent 6 months or so in a pretty deep bout of depression. It was really tough for me for a little while. And when I finally figured it out was I had lost my priorities. I was no longer God, family, job. I was jumbled, and I was reprioritizing as time goes, and there was turmoil inside of me, and it was really tough, and it was hard to get going, and that was where you start edging on the verge of burnout. The next thing about burnout, not only just not understanding your priorities and following them, making your decisions based on your priorities. Again, you have to there's plenty of work right now for me to be working 75, 80 hours a week, but I'm making the decision to cut off at 50 hours, 40 hours, so that my priorities are maintained. The next thing is having proper goals and living in a 90-day world. This is a big deal, because if you don't say, again, with our proper expectations. Hey, I'm going to buy X amount of houses, and this kind of goes to the thing I'm teaching tomorrow night. But I need to buy X amount of houses this year. I need to buy X amount of houses this quarter. If you live in a 90-day world and you've got proper expectations of what you should accomplish in that 90 days, that is going to help you avoid burnout. Because what happens is if you have proper goals and you say, okay, I need to buy 2 houses this quarter, it's much better to work towards those 2 houses this quarter than to say, oh my gosh, this year I need to hire staff, I'm going to need to figure out my insurance agent, I need to buy some houses, I need to find an office, I need to do this, I need to do that, blah, 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 blah. And what happens is you've got all this forest of crap that needs to get done, and all you can see is the fact that 90% of the stuff that you wanted to accomplish has not been accomplished. And you start to burn out because you're like, oh my gosh, I've only done these 2 things. But if at the beginning of every quarter, you look at a list, and I want you to create a list, call it an issues list, create a list of everything that you think needs to happen. And at the beginning of each quarter, I want you to prioritize 3 to maybe 7 of those things, those big items, and say, this quarter, I'm going to accomplish these 3 things. Even though there's 90 other things out there, this quarter I'm going to accomplish these 3 things. And if you live in that world, by the end of the year, you'll look back and you'll be like, okay, gosh, I got like 50 big projects done this year.
I think, not to get political, but I think I've heard that in like the government world and the president world is new presidents come into play or come into office and they have, hundreds and hundreds of ideas, but then they'll have an advisor and say, pick 2. Because that's what your presidential your presidency is going to be about is 2 issues or something like that.
Right.
That might have been a TV show. That might have been real. I don't know.
I think we may have been talking about that because that actually was one of the things when I was studying and really learning into all of this kind of stuff. It's the art of influence and marketing was where that actually came from, and I'm remembering it more now because if you think back on the presidential race. What was Trump going to do? What was Trump going to do?
Well, I don't want to go too. I don't want this to turn into anything.
Well,
like
no,
that.
but I mean,
build a wall.
He was going to build a wall, and he was going to make America great again,
Bitch.
right?
MAGA, bitch.
MAGA. So he was going to make America great. That, in a strictly marketing term, was something that was a single goal, 1 or 2 things that we knew that he stood for, that everybody could get in line with because it's easy for the human brain to process that. Now, if you ask what Ted Cruz was going to do, what was Ted Cruz going to do?
I don't know.
He was going to fix the education system. He was going to, fix the immigration problem. He was going to do this. He was going to do that. He was going to do that. He was going to do that. And his answers, honestly, whenever somebody would ask him what he was going to do, he would answer something along the lines of, look, this is a 4 to 8 year seat. There's so much stuff that needs to be done. I have to get a lot. This is the 4 to 8 years in the most powerful seat in the world, and there are so many projects that need to get done, and I am going to be the one who can get all of those projects done. Right. But nobody gave a crap about that because humans cannot wire ourselves to think about the big picture like that. Humans are only wired to prioritize a few things over a short amount of time, and that is not only what's going to make people respond to marketing in the way of like presidency and Trump winning and all that kind of stuff, but it's also how you are going to need to prioritize your own priorities in getting this next 30 days, getting this next 90 days together so that you can stay on fire for what's going on. Because if you are just flailing and you're just accomplishing things, but all you can ever see is there's still 95 more things that need to be done versus, hey, I accomplished the 3 things that I said 3 months ago I was going to get done, you burn out.
And because I hate talking about politics.
Do you?
I do. Interesting factoid, Ted Cruz is actually probably one of the smartest candidates we've ever had. But nobody liked him because he kind of looked like a vampire, serial killer, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, but let's jump on to support systems. Because, one thing we were talking about, when you are working your tail off, especially in the beginning or even the ending, you have to have your support system. Is that a partner? Is that a loved one? Is that your friends?
Right.
And I would imagine in that year where you're depressed, you probably weren't utilizing your support system because I know you personally, and I know damn well the people around you, if they would have known you were in that tough situation, they would have gladly said, "Dude, give me a hug, man. Give me some
you
love."
start trying to
been
Superman
there.
it.
Yeah,
So,
you try to Superman, but like my point being is when you go to these marketing events, and I love running into like Jason and Teresa, Ryan. Just
Yeah.
they're my buds, they're my
Yeah.
homies, you know, and I'll, even if I'm feeling a little down in the business and you see your buddies and you're like, yeah, what's up? Oh, cool, you got a deal, let's talk about it. And then that almost like charges you back up. So for me, I think that's another way to avoid the burnout
Right.
is find those people that give you a charge, that give you a
Right,
rise.
exactly. So let's end up with those couple of things because we do want to keep these a little bit more succinct. But the,
Your buddy, Thomas.
yeah, be nihilist, nothing matters. that's a decent priority list. It works for him. I know it personally. So having that support system is very huge. You've got to have people around you that you're willing to talk to and willing to reach out for. One of the things that really helps is having a Jason and Teresa, having somebody that's in the business that gets it. Because what happens is, and y'all will learn, like, it just kills me. I start on all these groups, on these Facebook groups, and going to these network clubs and stuff like that. And what you see is all these people that are like, oh, everything's amazing. I'm buying all these, blah, 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 blah. Like, we're great. Everything's wonderful. And I'm buying so much. And why can't you be? But if you honestly knew what they were doing, 9 times out of 10, they haven't bought crap, right? It's all marketing. It's all this face because it's the whole fake it until you make it thing, right? And so you start seeing all these people who have made it around you, and 9 times out of 10, they haven't. 9 times out of 10, it's all marketing. They're going to show you the video of them pulling up to the appointment. They're going to show you the video of them running the comps. They can't show you the video of that closing statement, right? Because they're going on a point, but they're not getting anything. So don't get discouraged by what other people are doing. Only focus on what you've got going on and have people around you that are in the business that you can trust kind of in that safe place way of just like, dude, I haven't bought a freaking thing in like 6 weeks. It's been crazy.
You know, I think that's why I like being friends with Jawad Dash T, especially on Facebook, because you know when he's in a good mood, and you know when he's in a bad mood, and you know when he's pissed off at somebody. Like he has like zero filter when it comes to Facebook. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's everybody has that rah moment, but most people don't really like to show. Well, let me rephrase that. People in the investment world don't really like to show off when they're feeling shitty.
Yeah.
Like most people on Facebook use that as their venting source. I'm like, oh, my friend, blah, blah, blah.
But the investment world,
But the investment world is always like,
act
look at my
they're
money,
doing-
look at my check, look at this.
Yeah,
so
and that's
it's
the other thing. I love the check. I love the picture of the check because I've been in the business full time 6 years, which in a lot of ways is a very young investor. In a lot of ways, it's an elder. In a lot of ways, it's an elder statesman when you look at just percentages of people getting
ins
in.
and the outs, yeah.
But I love seeing the check posted. I love seeing the check posted because they're like, look at this $50,000 check. I bet they netted $1,000 on that. You know what I mean? Because you get one check in, and then you have to pay everybody out that happens for all the deal, all the partners, and all the this and all of that, and all your expenses and all. So that one cracks me up. But sometimes, yes, you get the full check, but most of the time not.
But anyway, back to the work-life balance. So we covered burnouts, we covered priorities, we covered support systems.
Right.
As far as you watching, what gets you burnout? What gets you out of that burnout? What is your support systems? Again, we try to use this as much of a dialogue and conversation as possible. I know on this one, it really isn't any questions to be asked, but
Sure.
maybe there's topics to drop in there.
Yeah, and if you have advice too, like one of my big takeaways that I want you guys to have from this, because I think that it's the root of all of our burnout and all of our issues that we're having in this, really is like, for me, God, family, everything else will find its place. What is that for you? Okay? Post that for you, because I don't want somebody whose number one priority is real estate to be discouraged by saying, I'm wrong because I don't agree with Grant.
On that note, my number one, I said it right before him. I'm not going to be like, oh, egg on my face, backtrack. No, my number one priority right now is because I do not have a family. I do not have a wife. I do not have kids. I do have strong personal friends, but my friends support me. So my number one priority is my career, is my real estate investment career, is Propelio, is the houses on the side. So that being said, if you have deals, shoot me an email. How's that Belmont EV? Commercial deals as well.
Subtle plug.
Subtle plug. But again, though, like I said, Renee, my girlfriend, day number one, hey, my career is very important to me. If you can't be on board with that, nice to meet you, but and it is what it is.
And it was,
because to me, I would rather be
discussed from day
single
one.
and work and get my shit taken care of than stress over somebody who doesn't feel like they're a priority.
Right. So just be honest with yourself. Just communicate with yourself of what that means for you. And I want you to post that because people do go back and read all these comments and everything, and I want that to be an encouragement to other people that are out there. We need to be each other's support system. We need to be understanding that this is a tough business. It's not all smiles and big checks. Even though that's what you might see in these Facebook groups, it's not. I've been around in the business long enough to know there's a lot of failures. There's a lot of deals that you thought were going to happen until the day of closing, and then it falls through. That kind of stuff can burn you out. But with proper communication and understanding what's going on, proper priorities, knowing that other people are going to share those types of priorities with you, that can help a lot. So
Sean Burke, he was saying marketing can burn you out.
absolutely.
Absolutely, yes. But what I would suggest on that is mindset. Change your mindset on that. Instead of being burnt out and go, Jesus Christ, fuck, I gotta do some marketing. Go, hey, look at it as a game. Okay, I did this, I didn't get the response. What can I tweak to get a better response? And look at it as a game of chess or just checkers or whatever kind of game mentality you got to throw in there. But have enjoyment out of it. Try to get enjoyment out of it. Yeah, it does suck when you spend $10,000 on a marketing campaign and you didn't get the response back.
That happens.
It happens. But if you can try to at least detach yourself and try to have a little bit more fun with it, I personally think you'll have a little bit, because if I do a MailChimp mailer and I get a bad response, I'm like shit. But if I do something good, I'm like cool. What did I do different?
Yeah.
On that
really
note,
analyze.
if you are in high school and you are going to college because you want to get a marketing degree, don't. Oh my God, marketing is so hard. Don't do it. Like I went to Starbucks, like I'm in marketing. Well, I'm like, why? With all this social media, with how quickly Facebook changes their algorithms, you got to be an expert on that. Don't.
Counterpoint, my sister makes a ton of money as a marketing
When did
exec
she
for
get into
Amazon.
it? When did she start?
I don't know, a while back.
Yeah, I'm talking about now. Like the barriers to
Anyway, so let's wrap up there. Again, figure out your priorities, comment them below. Let's talk with each other, help each other support on that. We're
Did
here.
you just say with each other?
Let's talk with each other.
That's racist.
Okay. So yeah, let's get that out. But it's good stuff. It's something that needs to be in front of you. There is so much cool stuff about real estate. I do have a really big, nice house. I do have nice cars. I do get to take vacations. I do make a lot of money. That does happen.
But you know what? He has an amazing wife and an amazing child.
I do. I have an amazing family. My parents, my grandparents, I mean, everybody around me knew what was going on. Proper expectations from the
a
beginning.
hot sister who does marketing for Amazon.
So let's be real with each other. Let's kind of break the mold of the everything is great on nothing ever bad happens. Bad things do happen. You're gonna have to work your butt off. You're gonna fail a lot, but it can turn over, and you will continue to work at it if you don't get discouraged and you don't drop out.
And just because shit happens, don't be a Debbie Downer. Just analyze it, figure it out. Don't get burnt out. Try to be optimistic. Bootstrap it up. Tighten your belt and go forward. Life is ups and downs.
Yeah.
If you were watching yesterday, I was talking about one of my downs, and now I'm back up. So woo.
Awesome.
But just try to be optimistic. Don't be a Debbie Downer. Don't let it drag you down.
Yeah.
Have those priorities. Have that awasomeness. Have
And
your support
eventually
system.
you will get all those cool things that you want to up front. It's just going to take some time. So.
Right.
To wrap up, again, I want you guys to support Propelio. Propelio.com does an awesome job of getting content in front of you guys. They really do. I mean, Ryan's just killing it over here. Daniel's killing it. These guys are really doing a lot of work. If you knew how much work goes into this every week to make sure that you are getting information, you would be awestruck. And all of that is based on the fact that they have a really cool piece of software for you to use, that you can track all of your leads, that you've got the websites coming out, that you've got real MLS comps instead of going to something like Zillow or Trulia, or we can do like a... something like that. So check them out, sign up for the free trial, and stick on it. It's something I always encourage everybody to do. I really do believe in the program.
And we do this every single week. We do it every day, but for Grant specifically, every week we do Grant Teach Me Something. I dropped it in the link below or in the comment section of our first episode. I highly suggest you just start with number 1, go number 2, go number 3, and then roll all the way through.
And you can even watch number 2 while you number 2.
And subtle plug for creativecashflow.com in 3, 2, 1, go.
So creativecashflow.com, I do have an academy online for you guys to watch videos of me teaching literally everything you need to know about how to do seller financing from start to finish. And then I do personal mentoring as well, both in group setting and one-on-one setting. So if you want to learn more about how to actually invest, how to do this balance, how to get the 1, 2, 3 steps of it, check out creativecashflow.com. Sign up. There is a 7-day free trial, so you can watch a bunch of the videos there, see how it goes, and then you get new videos every week pushing to you with more information.
Well, again, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow. But if you'd rather just wait until next Wednesday for another episode of Grant Teach Me Something, we'll see you then. Take it easy. Grant,
Keep
teach
on
me
learning.
something.